Hey everyone, welcome to another edition of the Bolt City Podcast. Dave Palet, Josh Palet, and Mario Heron. It's a draft day podcast, basically, because the draft is now over, and we're going to review exactly what we thought the Chargers did and what some of the other teams did in the NFL. Um, Guys, as far as the draft goes, be honest with me. How much did you watch of every single round?
I watched most of the draft. I think around the sixth round, I kind of just walked around and did other things. But I love the draft. We say leading up to the draft is like an American holiday for us. I was really hyped going into the draft. I was hyped the second day of the draft. I just love the NFL draft, and I love that these kids get to see their dreams realized. Even if the Chargers draft players that I wouldn't have drafted, I'm still happy for the players that do get drafted because, like I said, their dreams are realized and they become professionals.
Yeah, I mean, the draft's always the best. Seeing people live out their dreams, it's always cool. It's awesome to see families kind of come together, hear some interesting stories along the way. I was watching Friday night. I was two screening it because Kings Warriors obviously was a big game, and then Lakers won some bullcrap game. Probably doesn't really, not really real, not full team. Some would say.
Real. 7 beat it 2. It was real.
Yeah. All right. So yeah, it's always fun to watch. It was good to see, and I didn't watch the last day while I was working, so it was kind of hard to do that. But other than that, love the draft. A lot of exciting stuff, and yeah, it's a lot. We had a lot to talk about. Chargers had themselves an interesting day.
All right, before we get into the Chargers, best story of the draft was, and I hate to say it, it was the team that really I root against my entire life. It's the Dallas Cowboys. When the scout for the Cowboys drafted his own son, how cool was that? I mean, that was something you don't see. I mean, even if you aren't a fan of the Cowboys, I think if you're a dad, it kind of brings you to tears when he says, "You want to go to work with me next week." It was pretty cool. And Jerry Jones got on there. I was like, God, it had to be the Cowboys that pulled this move. But that was a cool story. I mean, it was a cool story that you realize your dream with your family. You know, the odds of that happening obviously aren't very good because it doesn't happen. But, overall, man, looking at the draft, we'll get into some grades of some teams we thought did a really good job and maybe some teams that typical did a piss poor job. But we'll start with the Chargers because this is the Charger show. Now, look, I got killed, man, by people who are Charger fans who just laid into me because I was really tough on Quentin Johnson. And here's the deal. And Josh made the best point about it. And I probably would have thought about it later. You could have just traded back and got probably 2 number 2s. And you would have been in the same situation where you could have got him. Nobody had this kid ranked as high as the Chargers did. There's so many negatives, right? I mean, 6 touchdowns on a team that scores, 80 a game, and he only scored 6 the whole year. The fact that he catches the ball with his body and not his hands, the fact that he has small hands, there's so many negatives about the pick that it frustrated me. And people say, don't forget, you were the guy that said Justin Herbert wasn't the guy. I did. I hope I'm 100% wrong on this, but right now to say he went number 1 for the Chargers when 2 receivers that we had listed higher on our board that we thought were going to go, as choices or go in front of them, it bothered me. So I know there's more than just the first pick in the draft, but the first pick of the draft is supposed to be a guy who's a starter, a major difference for your roster going into the next season. And I'm like, man, I hope Tom Telesco and everyone with the Chargers feel the same way, that this guy is a guy that's going to make a difference for the team in 2023.
Yeah, you said it right there. A guy that's going to make a difference next season. And from his production that he had in college, it does not look like Quentin Johnson's poised to have 10-plus touchdowns, 1,000-plus yards. He's not that type of player. Is he going to produce? I'm sure he will. If you're drafted on the first day, you're probably going to produce to some level. But he's not going to be the big-time impact guy that I think Jordan Addison will, that I think Zay Flowers will. So that's my problem right there. Draft grades. I don't know how seriously you guys look at other draft grades, if you guys consider them. I think they're pretty interesting. I like looking at draft grades. The Chargers ranked in the bottom 5 in NFL.com for their day 1 draft grade, a C+. So NFL.com thought the Chargers reached as well. But we'll see. Time will tell. I saw a draft grade that somebody brought up the other day, the 2012 Seahawks draft. They ranked it as the worst draft of all time at the time. That was the same draft where they got Bruce Irvin, Bobby Wagner, and Russell Wilson. And the person called it the worst draft of all time when it ended up being probably the best draft in Seahawks history. So you never really know what's going to happen. But right now, like Dave said, I would have traded back because I think Quentin Johnson's the guy you could have got later on.
It's definitely, I think it's the hardest thing we do about our jobs is the day after the draft and dust settles. You have to do, all right, who won? who did the best? Because it's like you truly you don't know, right? Like the 2012 thing. It's like when at the end of college basketball year, they're like, hey, do the way too early top 25. It's like, no, let's not do that because you don't know who's going to leave transfer portal. Like, there's a lot of different things that kind of come into it. So, yeah, what we say now, yeah, we don't think Quinn Johnson should have been necessarily the first pick. I think he could be a very, very good player. What the problem for me is we wanted a deep vertical threat, and he's just not that. He's more yards after the catch guy, not a deep threat, which is just kind of like, okay, why did we? I don't know. Then that's not really fitting what we need. But who knows? We could be wrong. I love the draft grades. I rip the draft grades all the time. Like I looked at like 6 today. I read them after every single round just because I'm always interested. And it's just fun to see, like, because everyone that does it too is sitting there going, I'm gonna look like such a jackass in 8 months if this guy actually pans out. Like, because you just don't know. Like, you could just look like the biggest fool of all time. Or you can be like, all right, I can speak highly on this guy, and then 8 months come cashing in and going, man, I need a GM job. Like it's just one of the two things. And it's always easier to go positive than negative, just has a better bright side than going negative and him end up being pretty good. But Quinn Johnson, we'll see. Herbert could make him a pretty good QB. He could make him be a better player than he is. I do have a question for you guys. The TCU love that the LA Chargers gave in the draft, was that surprising to you guys at all? I would prefer for to give a college some love, it'd be an SEC team. But I guess we picked TCU this year and said, let's copy their formula.
Damn it, man. Here's the deal. I mean, TCU, what the F, man? No kidding. I mean, yeah. TCU, why? Why would you do that with almost any team in the Big 12? If you're going to pick a team in the Big 12, at least, how about Oklahoma? But TCU, I don't understand it. They drafted 3 TCU guys, and you're going, what are we doing? I just don't understand. Here's the deal. I've always heard this my entire life. It's quality players against quality competition. Man, the Big 12 is not quality competition. And when they went against quality competition in Georgia, it was the most lopsided, embarrassing, turn off the TV national championship game of all time. It was terrible. So why? I don't get the TCU deal. It bothered me. I don't understand it. I just can't figure it out why they went this route all the way through. And again, seven picks in the draft, and 3 of the guys are from TCU. I don't understand at all. Don't understand.
Is Tom Telesco aware that TCU is the team that got their ass kicked? Like,
yeah.
I understand drafting guys from a college, but like you said, let's draft guys from a college that played well against good competition.
Yeah.
Georgia's the closest thing to playing NFL style football, correct? They're just dominant.
What do the Philadelphia Eagles do? What do the Eagles
exactly.
do?
What have drafted all Georgia guys? They even traded for Georgia. They brought in DeAndre Swift. They know what's up. And then they take a bunch of Alabama guys. And I know the Raiders have done that in the past, right? I'm just going to draft Clemson and Alabama guys. We got to draft the right players. You can't just say I'm just going to draft guys from the SEC. You got to get the right players. And I think the Eagles have proven that the last few years as the best team in the NFL drafting wise. So why would we get TCU guys that just got their butts kicked? And I know Max Duggan's never going to play, but Quentin Johnston will. And so is his buddy, the other receiver. I'm totally drawing a blank right now. If you guys can help me out with his name.
Darius Davis.
Darius Davis. The reason why I don't know his name is because he's a punt returner only. He's not really a wide receiver. And people are saying he's great in the slot. He's a specialist. He's DeAndre Carter, probably not even as good. So don't try to tell me that he's actually going to make a big impact either, because I'll be very shocked if he does anything next season.
Damn it.
Look, man, hold on.
I was going to say,
okay, look, here's the deal.
Yeah,
Let's be honest.
I love
they say a guy, anytime anyone says there's a kick returner or a punt returner, there's the NFL. The NFL has done everything they can in the rules to take away the kick returning and punt returning in the game. So it's not like back in the day. It's not Devin Hester you got. You understand? I mean, you're what? You got a guy that can fair catch? I mean, that's basically it. Because people don't return the ball anymore. And it's a safety issue. You understand why. So anyone who uses that, oh, this guy has that skill, BS, man. Hardly ever happens that a punter outkicks the coverage now. It just doesn't happen.
I mean, I get what you're saying, but I think at the location of the draft and where he was at with the 4.3640, Big 12 Conference Special Teams Player of the Year, most return touchdowns in TCU history, ranked second in all of FBS in combined return yards. That's a pretty good investment, I think. Like getting him at that place, I'm fine with. I actually really like that pick. Like that was one of my more, like let's dance around, get a nice punt returner, nice kickoff returner. Like, dude, that's good stuff. That's good field position. That cuts the field in half a little bit. Like, what if that like turns out? I completely agree with you. Special teams has never been harder in the NFL. It's like playing corner in the NFL. There's every rule against you to make a good play. But at the same time, if he's going to help us get better field position, I'm all for it. Quick, fast, small. Like I said, we lost DeAndre Carter, so we kind of need that return type. Is he going to be better than DeAndre Carter? I don't really know. He could be. I mean, Carter, let's be honest, showed up sometimes and sometimes didn't show up, and now he's a Raider. So, ship him off and don't let him back in. So that's kind of where I sit. Like, I actually really like, I'm curious your guys' thoughts. I really like the Thule pick. Thule from USC. Started watching a little bit of film on him. I'm getting a little obsessed with the guy. I would kiss him on the cheek, if you know what I'm saying. Like, this guy's pretty damn good. Pac-12 Defensive Player of the Year. Had 13.5 sacks, 22 tackles, and a pair of passes batted down this past year. Can be a real force for the Chargers. Can help out with Mac and Bosa. Can learn a lot from him. Kind of like that pick, guys. I'm kind of a fan with it. He has to be used in the right system. That's everything that I was reading about and catching up on today was he has to be used right, has to be used right. Staley doesn't do an incredible job of using players right, but when it comes to the defensive side, he's got a little Vic Fangio in him somewhere. And I think hopefully with that, we can actually use Thule. So do you guys like at least the second pick, the third pick, or even any other picks that they made besides Quentin Johnson?
All right. So the Thule pick right here, when all of us talked before the show that we can't pronounce his last name correctly, so we're not going to try. So here's the deal. USC, he's the only defensive player in USC I would have drafted. How's that? Because USC's defense stinks. It just what happens. So I do like that pick, and I hope he's a guy that actually plays well because, as Josh said before the draft, that's a desperate, obviously the emphasis and need of what they need. So a defensive tackle. Again, the guy played big in big games for USC. It was kind of easy to focus on him, kind of much like we spoke about Will Anderson of Alabama, saying, look, the guy's the only guy that you're focusing on that has a real chance of getting the quarterback. He's a guy that hopefully does well, man, stopping the run, right? This team couldn't stop the run last year. This is a guy, hopefully, that once in a while is able to get to the quarterback. But, man, if he can step in and be a guy for the Chargers, I like this pick the best out of all their picks. Is this one, and that's, I hate to say that's not saying a ton. I'm not a huge fan of this draft, but as far as that pick, USC, I'm all for it.
I agree with Dave. It's my favorite pick of the whole draft. He's versatile, as you mentioned, and he had big production. He's the opposite of Quentin Johnson. He had 13.5 sacks and 22 tackles for loss last year, and he's playing in a conference that's top Power 5, right? Pac-12. I don't think Pac-12 is the greatest conference, especially when it comes to defense and a bad defense like USC. But if you're in a position like his where you're
it is. Everyone's running off. That's why they're joining the Big Ten. It's a joke.
That's funny. That's true. But if you play a position like his, when it's really one-on-one, what can I do against this guy? Can I beat the guy in front of me? And he did it over and over and over again. That's what I like to see. And as I said, he had huge production. Why would he want a guy that shows that he's going to make the plays? And with Khalil Mack and Joey Bosa, as their future is very uncertain in the next few years, you had to draft a guy at that position.
And like, what if he turns out? Like, what if he actually does learn a lot from Mac? What if Bosa does take him under his wing? Like we saw, like last training camp, Mac and Bosa are very good from learning with different stuff with each other. Like I remember seeing multiple film sessions, not film sessions, multiple videos of them staying after practice doing work, learning different techniques, learning different ways to get to the QB, different ways to affect plays. And, hopefully for the sake of Dave Palet that they, he doesn't learn Joey Bosa's sitting out stuff that, Dave isn't that big of a fan of. He probably won't learn that, but I think Tui's going to be one hell of a player. I'm a huge fan of him. The Washington State guy, Henley, I'm interested to see what he can do. And from everything I've read too, it was just like this guy's going to be a special teams demon. Like he's going to be that guy streaming downfield on kickoff. If they did a Hard Knocks, do you guys remember the Hard Knocks last year, the Detroit Lions, where they had that linebacker? I'm forgetting his name, Rocco or something like that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about? Yeah, I think that's what Henley's going to be. Just that guy that just loves the game of football, just good guy that fills holes, hits hard. And if they did a Hard Knocks, I think that's who America would fall in love with.
So the guy, the story on the Chargers is it's Jordan McFadden. He's the guy, right? He's the one
Yeah.
that you know, if you're caught up on this story, for the people who are listening and watching the show that we're doing right now, he's the person that lost both his parents, and so lost both his parents at a young age and was put into foster care. And the fact that this guy was able to do this through, you know, foster care and get a college scholarship, and now in the NFL, I mean, he is the story. He's the movie guy. You know, if you talk about a life story that you go, and it's absolutely incredible. I don't know if there's anybody that would say I'm not rooting for this kid, because man, he has had a tough life for being a young man to be where he is, and to get drafted in the NFL is great. So for the Chargers to get him, he's a guy I think all of us, you know, you kind of pay attention to, because I don't know anyone that's rooting against this kid.
No, you love those stories. Yeah. Overall, if you guys did have to give a draft grade for the Chargers, what would you guys give them?
Dave?
Okay, so here's the deal. You guys talked about when you can read a draft. You can read a draft basically in 3 years. It takes that long. To me, it does. You know, you say 8-9 months, and how do they look at the beginning? You never know how guys are going to actually end up. I mean, Josh, you brought up the point about Seattle, and nobody knew, you know, Bruce Irvin and Wagner and these guys, they're going to be good. Russell Wilson. If you remember, Russell Wilson was a third-round pick, and they just gave a ton of money to the Green Bay Packers backup quarterback, to come in and be the guy. And then Russell Wilson took off. And but when you look at what the Chargers did for me, and man, people, again, I know you guys are saying I'm being negative here. From the outside looking in, the Chargers to me are a D. It's a D.
Ooh. All right.
It's not an F. It's a D.
Hey,
What grade would you give it?
Just hand those out. Yeah.
They don't just hand, yeah.
That's a Tommy Boy line. That's it right there. They don't just hand those out. I'll give it a D plus. No, I'm just telling you, I don't understand the TCU moves. I don't understand the moves. I'm very frustrated with the way they ended up, and how a team that was in the Super Bowl, in the Philadelphia Eagles, all of a sudden seem better today than they were the day they lost the Super Bowl. How does that happen?
Yep. What about you, Mario?
B minus. B minus. Yeah,
man,
my grade.
Yeah. We're way off.
Yeah.
Tell me why B minus,
college, baby. So, because listen, like the B minus, because I think they hit areas that they did need. They needed more weapons for Herbert. You got 2 of those, so that helped. You needed more guys to protect Herbert, because you never have enough linemen. Got 1 of those. Got 2 defensive tackles. Okay, that helps out. Or D lineman, sorry. And they got a linebacker and something you lost in Drew Tranquil. So, like, for me, it's what positions did you need and did you hit those? We needed more linebackers, got it. We need one more guy to protect Herbert, got it. We needed more help on defensive line. Okay, got it. We need more weapons for Herbert, we got it. Now, were they the weapons that we all wanted for him? I'll be honest with you, no. I obviously didn't want Quinn Johnson. I was very adamant. I wanted, why am I blanking on his name? Addison from USC. Yeah, I wanted Addison. So, yeah, like a little bit upset that we didn't get that guy. So that's when it kind of takes it down for me. Davis wasn't really on my radar for another receiver that we could have gotten for a returner. Again, I would have wanted Hayek, because he started falling pretty quick. And I go, I'm fine with kind of taking back-to-back wideouts. But at the same time, we got Thule, who I think is going to be a pretty solid player for us. And we didn't get a tight end. So that's one thing that I also think's a score. It's like how we, in a tight end strong class, I say again, where we could have really taken advantage of that, and where it was really in our lap, we didn't do anything. And then we're going to force Jordan Everett to be tight end 1 for another year, which probably is going to put him in a bad spot. But at the same time, Jordan McFadden, like you said, he's got a great story. I was reading something that they're comparing him a lot to Slayer. They're like, oh, this is this year's Slayer, which if it is, amazing. We hit that right there. The Max Duggan one, I'm going to give Brian points just because I think that's fun. And I think that's funny, and that's preseason fun. So that's why I also think that up. Preseason fun. Let's have me watch a QB that was in the national championship game last year. Let's just have a mess around the football field in the preseason. I'm going to look forward to that. But B minus altogether, they hit the positions they needed. Did they hit a home run at the positions they needed? I wouldn't say so. So B minus for me.
Yeah, I'm going to be somewhere in the middle, but more towards Dave. I'm going to go C minus. I think the Chargers, they missed. I think the Chargers missed in the first round. I'm sorry. I could be wrong. I told you I don't know as much as other people maybe, but most people agree with me. The Chargers reached, and you can't reach in the first round. You have to hit your first round pick. And I don't understand why the Chargers didn't go with any people from the top two conferences, which is the SEC, Giant Gap, Big Ten, right? Those are the two best conferences. So here's who the Chargers drafted, okay? I'm going to go through all the picks. They went Quentin Johnson. They went Thule. They went I don't even know how to pronounce his first name. Henley, the linebacker. Darius Davis, Jordan McFadden, Scott Madlock, and Max Duggan. None of those guys come from the Big Ten or SEC. The Eagles, who are the blueprint, draft guys from the SEC. Why can't we get guys from the best conference? Those are the easiest guys to scout. They're playing the best competition week in and week out. I don't understand it. Thule, who most people think is the best pick of the draft, is undersized, but he has big-time production. So does Henley. The Chargers did have a good day two of the draft. Most outlets are saying the same. Overall, Sporting News, where Fernando Ramirez works, ranked the Chargers 28th draft grade, C- as well. So the outlets are saying the Chargers didn't do great. They could have, hit. Who knows? Nobody really knows yet. But so far, they drafted guys from conferences that aren't top tier.
They didn't. They loaded up on the Big 12 and ACC, and I mean, what I don't get it. I don't understand. The one thing about Philadelphia, so I just want to point out the Eagles real quick. The Eagles have, oh my gosh, the Eagles, for example, have a winning mindset in that locker room, right? They're one game away from being Super Bowl champions. This is what the Eagles look at. The Eagles will tell you if the turf was done right, they'd be Super Bowl champions. That they, guys are falling down all over the place. But at the same point, there's a winning mindset. With Georgia, Alabama guys, there's a winning mindset. It's what's expected. It's what is in their locker room too. So the transition, yeah, of course, the talent's better than NFL, but at least the mindset is a positive mindset that I'm a winner, I'm joining a winner. You're getting guys who are losers. Not only are you getting guys that are losers, you're bringing them to the exact same stadium where they had their biggest loss. Their worst college memory is in the exact same stadium where they're now professionals. Think about it. That's freaking nuts. I don't understand. Nobody understands the TCU thing. Unless you're a TCU alum, none of this makes sense at all. How much does this have to do with Kellen Moore, Texas guy, right? I mean, state of Texas. I have no idea how much he was involved. I think, Mara, you brought that up. How much do the offensive and defensive coordinators have a say-so on who they get? It's just a very bizarre draft to me. I don't understand. I like Tom Telesco as a person. I hope it works out. But, man, this draft is bizarre. Mario, can you go through some of the grades of other outlets that they have?
Yeah, so other outlets that give out grades, NFL.com gave the Chargers B-. Oh, God, they think like someone else. PFF.com said A-. US Today gave a B. The Ringer, Podcasting Network gave an A-. The big one that stood out to me was honestly the PFF one, A-, which was very interesting. They were really high on Thule. Looking at that site, like that was like their biggest thing was Thule was a big steal. They also really like Henley. Henley is a big one that is getting a lot of love, and it's because has a very little missed tackles. Like that is a big thing for him. I believe I have to find it real quick. I have it in here somewhere. Yeah, only 5 missed tackles last year.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a big thing with him is that he's a beast. Once he gets your hands on you, you're screwed. Size is a little bit worrisome. He's like 6 foot 1 on a good day if he's feeling great, and 225. So he's going to need to put a little bit more lbs on, get a little bit bigger.
When I look at the Chargers, the first thing that jumps out to me is depth. I just don't think the Chargers have much depth at all. Do you guys agree with me? I feel like there's a starting roster on the offensive and defensive side, and then there's not much behind it at all.
No, I agree.
No, it was their problem last year.
Yeah, it's a huge drop-off between the first team and the second team. I just feel like the Chargers are a few injuries away from being screwed. The Chargers also drafted worse than the other 3 teams in the division by most outlets. And PFF, I'm sorry, PFF's the biggest joke. Nobody in the NFL actually thinks PFF knows what they're talking about. You'll talk to players and say, how do they know what my assignment is? How do they know that I'm supposed to block downhill? They're not in the huddle. So PFF
players say this
means
all the time. You're right.
Yeah,
NFL players
PFF
say exactly what you said all the time.
Exactly. So same with Bleacher Report. I'm sorry. Bleacher Report is also a site that I really don't take much consideration into. But these people do it for a living. Mel Kiper and Todd McShay and these guys that talk about it. I like to hear what they have to say, but a lot of times they're wrong. So, like I said, I could be completely wrong, but the Chargers right now have no depth at all.
Okay, I haven't looked at it. I wish I should have done this. I should have, because I pointed this out to you guys. How many did McShay and Kuiper nail in their predictions? That's my point. It's every year. It's always like it's less than 7 every year. I think it was even less than that this year. But that's the way it goes all the time. Not meaning those guys are right. And hell, it's just saying for us 3, we can get the same exact number. But man, I tell you what, again, man, I hope I'm way wrong. My grade is so far different than what the other ones are saying. NFL.com, look, it's the NFL. I mean, they're partners with the Chargers. They got to say something nice, right? Do they give less than a B minus? I mean, come on. I don't understand what these guys are looking at. I'll tell you right now, on this show, come August, if Scott Matlock makes the team, I will eat 10 ice cream sandwiches during the show. Okay. Yeah, he does not make the team, dude. Have you watched his highlights? Have you watched his video? You know what Matlock reminds me of? And he might be a great guy, but that doesn't matter. There are great guys pumping gas at the Shell station. Doesn't mean I need him playing defensive tackle for the Chargers. Dude, I watched this guy's highlights, dude. He looks slow as hell. It ridiculous in a BS conference. And I'm going, this guy's an NFL player. He reminds me of when someone films me playing, basketball or football at my age. And I sit there and I go, man, I was busting my ass. I was really moving out there. And then I see the highlights and I'm like, man, I wasn't moving for S. I was not moving at all. And I thought I was flying. That's this guy. This guy moves like me. Dude, I hate to say it, man. There's no way he even makes the roster. Great story, man. You got drafted.
Mario,
can I jump in? You're a high school coach in 2 years coaching JV at your old school. You can tell all your friends you were drafted by an NFL team.
All right, Dave, you're in luck because somebody did the hard work for you already, okay?
Okay.
The Philadelphia Inquirer did the work for you. Let's run through it, see how many picks. And here's who they judged, okay? It was Daniel Jeremiah, Todd McShay, Peter King, and Mel Kiper. Who do you think did the best, and how many picks did they get right?
I said McShay did the best.
This is just the first round.
And Jeremiah works for the Chargers.
Jeremiah, I'm going to go Jeremiah, and I'm going to go 8.
Okay. Who do you think did the worst, and how many picks did he get right?
Kuiper, I said, did the worst, and I got 3 right.
I was going to guess 3.
Oh, you were a little generous. You're being generous. Here we go. Okay.
This is where it gets good.
Daniel Jeremiah.
This is why you tune in right here, just for this.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Daniel Jeremiah, he did the best. He got 6 picks right. Okay, which is actually pretty damn good out of 31.
Yeah.
Well, it's your only job. Sorry,
yeah,
it's not.
He's getting 1 out of every
6
5
out of
picks 32.
Right, yeah, that's not
31.
Good. That's not good. We let that guy handle your money,
dude. It's pretty hard. It's the hardest.
It's your only job. You got one job. This is it. I don't want to say you stink at it. The percentage.
All right, I'm doing.
Would you let someone like that handle your investments? Guess what? You would never retire. Daniel Jeremiah is running your money. You're never retiring, Mario. And he's the best.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Hey, Daniel Jeremiah, you got to give him credit on one thing. He's the only person out of everybody, I think, that made a mock draft that predicted CJ Stroud and Will Anderson to the Texans. That's pretty damn good.
Kiss my ass.
That's
Go
good.
to the next one. That still hurts.
Okay. Daniel Jeremiah, you did 6. Second place. You guys want to take a guess who finished in second place?
I had McShay as my 1.
McShay. It is Todd McShay. How many picks do you think he got right?
3.
I'm
4.
I'll go 4.
He got 4 picks right. Good job. He got
it's the same every
Bryce
year,
Young,
by the way. Okay, good.
Yeah. He got Bryce Young. He got Bijan Robinson, and he got Emmanuel Forbes to the Commanders, and the Vikings taking Jordan Addison. All right, who finished in third place? I love this.
Kuiper?
No.
Was it out of 4 guys?
Out of 4 people.
Oh.
Yeah,
so
Peter King and Bill Kuiper.
Oh, okay, that's funny. I'm gonna go. I always say it wouldn't be Peter King, but I'll go Kuiper's last, just because I'm hoping it's Kuiper.
You're right.
Nobody has a bigger ego than Kuiper. That's why.
Dude, you got okay. I'm not ever calling for anybody's job, but wow. So Peter King finished third. Okay, he got 2 picks right.
Yeah, and Peter King doesn't.
Yeah,
Bryce Young doesn't even count.
I'm
sorry,
count.
Bryce Young doesn't count.
I don't think barely counts.
Well, then you're gonna hate Mel Kiper. He got Bryce Young and he got Bijan Robinson. Okay, Last place.
BJ, that's a hard one.
Yeah, Bijan. I'll give credit. Bijan was good. If you got that one right, that's good. Because I didn't think he was
Yeah.
going to go to the Falcons. All right. Last place. Mel Kiper nailed one freaking pick, and it was Bryce Young.
That is
Impressive.
ridiculous.
That is actually freaking impressive.
Ridiculous.
To
No offense.
year round.
My wife would have got Bryce Young, and she didn't watch one college game.
Dude, 100. Yeah, I want number 9 on Alabama. He's pretty good. I think he'll go first. Yeah,
Yeah.
good job. So, Mel Kiper, year round, this is his job. It's not like he
All he
has
does.
a side gig. Yeah,
And he used to brag
like he has a
about his
bunch-
hair. Mario has
Yeah.
great hair. Dude, he can't even hold up the hair thing anymore. Kuiper's hair is
No.
falling out like crazy. He has nothing going for him now.
hope Mel Kiper doesn't see this, but
I hope he
dude,
does.
Mel Kiper doesn't
You suck
have
at
a
your job.
yeah, dude. You gotta move along. You got to do something else. You're just not good at this. One pick, dude. One
The
out of
obvious
31, and this is your
The
year-round
obvious,
job.
The obvious
Yeah.
pick.
Isn't that
one.
impressive to some degree?
I'm tw-
Like,
Dude, I'm tweeting that out
If-
as soon as the show's over. Just want to remind
Yeah,
everyone Mel Kiper got one pick right.
if you're ESPN, you're the boss. You're the guy that's making the decisions. Aren't you like, hey, Mel, come into my office?
Dude, the fact
So
that
what are we
ESPN
paying
just
for?
fired like 30,000 people last week, but he wasn't one of them. Yeah.
Okay, but he's the same guy that thought Jimmy Clausen. He said he'd retire. Clausen's not a good QB. Same guy, and he's big on Levis too. But okay, in his defense, dude, this is insanely hard. Is insanely hard.
You have one job for
even do this right now.
365 days. Yeah,
It's
come on.
insanely.
It is
okay.
not. Okay, watch this, Mario. I'm going to tie him right now. Caleb Williams, guys, is going number 1 next year. I'll see you in 364 days.
You don't know that though. But what if someone has a Burrow year?
Dude, it's Caleb Williams. He's the guy.
Who knows?
He's the guy.
I'll do an NBA one. I'll start tomorrow and do a crazy NBA mock draft all the way leading up. And I guarantee you, if I take my ADHD medicine or find it, then like I bet I would still get maybe 2 right.
Your ADHD is so bad you can't even find your medicine.
Yeah. What are you
That's
gonna do?
hilarious.
But I'm just saying, it's pretty damn hard.
It's not, dude. It's not. It's not, man. I'm telling you, I wish I would have. We should have written one out. Josh and I used to write them out all the time and compare. Josh and I used to average like 7 or 8, didn't we, Josh? I'm not BS.
Dude, we were good. Man, we
Yeah,
were
I'm not
good.
kidding you. We always beat
Yeah.
those guys. Here's the deal. I would have gotten Addison to the Vikings, no problem. By the way, I would have nailed 2 of them just right there. Will
would've
Anderson,
failed
I would
anyway.
have had going to the Cardinals, and I would have had the dude that went to the Eagles. I'm trying to just draw a blank. The guy.
Jalen
Jalen
Carter.
Carter. I would have.
Jalen
I think we all
Carter.
would have.
I had him locked. No, but I had Jalen Carter going to the Seahawks. I had that as a lock. But
Oh,
I
I
should have
predicted-
thought.
Yeah, you did.
I thought
Why did
with
we
the
make a
Seahawks-
mock draft? We dropped the
I
ball.
was stupid. We're lazy because none of us
Idiots.
are on Mario's ADHD medicine. Here's the thing though. The Seahawks, and they had a great draft, by the way. I love how the Seahawks go about it. They go for character. They go for guys who are character. Look at Kenneth Walker III. Nobody saw Kenneth Walker III having the season he had, except for the Seahawks. And they said they went for a character guy. You know,
Overrated.
the Seahawks always. You think character guys overrated? I think a combination of
Character's
character
so
and talent
overrated.
are not. Really? Because
Overrated.
Richard Sherman, man, was a fantastic pick for them too, man. And people were passing on Richard Sherman because Harbaugh trashed him. Remember? Harbaugh ruined them on the way out.
Yeah, dude, I disagree. Character matters more than talent.
Oh,
You gotta be able to control character. 110%.
Yeah, I'll
Dude,
sit back and watch
110%.
it. Where's my
Jalen,
popcorn?
if Jalen
How many
Carter
yards
go-
does character have?
a lot, dude. If
Come
you
on.
can't keep your head on straight and you can't get on the freaking field or court, a lot.
Dude, I'll take the
Carter
worst
go-
people ever. Yeah. Give me Montez
Okay.
Perfect. Give me Tyrann Matthew. I'll take all of them.
Okay,
Oh.
have fun with them. Like bad character
Yeah.
just doesn't work. If Jalen Carter goes to any other team besides a team that has strong leadership, strong veteran leadership
agree
like
with
the
that.
Eagles, he's gonna suck. Yeah, and that's same for a lot of guys. Same with a lot of guys. If they don't have strong leadership, it's not gonna work. Chris Herron, who great last name, spells it weird though. You know what I'm talking about? He did a 30 for 30 on
from
him.
Fresno State. Yeah, of course.
Yes, he goes to. I'm blanking on this. I'm blanking on the team he went to first. But he-
I don't know who was on the Celtics. I know that.
whatever. But besides that, first team he goes to, he mentioned it, he goes, I had veterans in there that going, hey, we're gonna keep you straight. We're gonna make sure that you're not drinking, you're not partying, that it's basketball all the time, basketball. Gets traded. That's where it falls apart. Like character matters. That's how you like character is a huge part of winning. You can have all the talent in the world, but if your character's crap and you have poor leadership and you let that happen, boom, you suck. I'm just saying character matters.
All right. Who's the best team of the 80s? Wasn't it the Raiders?
No,
They're not the
it wasn't
Raiders.
the Raiders.
Okay.
No.
When were the Raiders great?
Well,
The
it was
70s?
Raiders.
It's probably,
Keep going
probably
to your
the Niners.
point.
Probably the 49ers.
You're
Okay.
off to a hot start.
When were the Raiders the best? In the 70s?
They had the highest winning percentage, but the Steelers were the team in the 70s.
Off to a hot start.
The Raiders had bad guys. Straight up
Always
bad
had bad
guys.
They did, bad dudes.
They won. I'm like,
Great
I agree
coaching.
with you on the Jalen Carter point. Like, you are 100% right. He went to the only team, I think, where he'll be successful because he's surrounded by his teammates. And I think that's a great thing that Howie Roseman, I think is his last name, Roseman, that he does. He drafts guys that were teammates in college with certain players so they can link up. And he even said it on TV. They know where to eat together. They know where to hang out together. They know the good spots and the bad spots. When you draft guys that don't know anybody, it's harder for them to adapt. My point being is, if you draft a couple of guys with character issues and you surround them with a team that mostly does have good character, it could work out. I think Tyreek Hill being with the Chiefs was a good example. Tyreek Hill doesn't have good character, but he's surrounded by a great culture with the Chiefs, and it hurts me to say that because I hate the Chiefs, and it worked out. I just think it's something that's worth trying if the guy is a really good player. The Chargers never draft guys with character issues, and I'm not saying you should do it over and over again, but I wouldn't mind drafting a couple guys with character issues that are really good players. I think it could work out.
To your point, Steelers is a good one. Tomlin kept AB afloat, and Le'Veon Bell afloat. And they go to the places and you see how they were. You see the kind of character kind of slowly go away. You see kind of the issues that are at hand. But that's a place with strong leadership. It's a place with strong, like, let's be honest, is Chargers strong leadership from the top down? Like I would say, what would we say that? Would we say they have strong leadership from top down? Do they have guys? Yeah. So that's happens, like, and these guys know that. Like, let's be honest, like these general managers, they know that. They know we don't have, you have strong leadership. If you have a strong cultural around, that. And if you don't. So hey, we can take a risk on this guy. I got a good coach I can turn around. No, we don't have anything strong right now. We're kind of really weird rebuilding phase, or we just don't have what it takes to get this guy under control in a way. Then we could be in trouble. So I'm a big character guy. Maybe that's just the good old Midwestern kid in me. I don't know. But hey, character matters.
The best leadership I can remember in the Charger locker room in the time I was there was when it was Junior Seau and Rodney Harrison. Those guys kind of ran everything. Phillip Rivers is as great as Phillip Rivers was. And Phillip Rivers was a guy that was not the guy that would go out and hang out with players. You know what I mean? He wasn't that guy in practice. He was competitive and that kind of guy. But Phillip didn't seem like he ever ran the locker room. It's one of those things that keep talking about Justin Herbert. I want to see him run the locker room. Weddle was a guy that was someone that people looked up to, but kind of his area. I don't think the Chargers have those guys. I mean, I think, Josh, you just brought up the Steelers. Amari, you just brought up the Steelers. The Steelers have always had those guys, those guys that kind of run the locker room guys. Oh, always. Usually it's on the defensive side of the ball, of course, but then you have the offensive side of the also that have done a great job for organizations like that. Whereas, let's say, look at some of the bad teams. No, well, I'll go with the Detroit Lions. They always stand out to me. Easy to pick. And going, what have the Lions had for years? I mean, since 1945. What have the Bobby Lane? I mean, who the hell have the Lions had? I mean, even Barry Sanders was quiet. He wasn't a guy that was let's get the team together kind of guy. But I think that combination you just brought up with Kansas City, with not only the quarterback but a strong head coach, it's a perfect combination. A strong ownership group. It's great for what KC has right now. It's very frustrating they're in our division.
You can only get players like Jalen Carter if you have a strong culture. And I don't think the Chargers necessarily have a strong culture, but the Chargers also don't scare anybody. The Chargers aren't the team that's going to knock your head off, and they haven't been since they had Junior Seau and Rodney Harrison. And as a fan, it bothers me. And a contact sport, we are never the team that you're scared of, period. We're the team that's fun to watch. When we have Justin Herbert and Phillip Rivers and LT and all these stud players, but there's nobody on the team where you're like, I'm scared of that guy. Who on the team right now are you scared of? Derwin James is the only guy on the whole team, and Derwin James is awesome. He's also the vocal leader. The Chargers always have guys like Quentin Johnson. You can have the ball. It's okay. The Chargers never have the strong character guys, and I'm not saying it has to be a bad guy, but I want somebody that people are going to be intimidated by. They might respect them because they're, maybe they have shown that they've made bad decisions and they can hurt you. I don't know. I don't know if we necessarily need those guys, but I want somebody. Dude, I'm serious. Like Vontez Burfict, I would have loved as a fan to be on my team. I love those guys that are just scary. We never have Patrick Willis. Like he wasn't a bad guy, but he was scary. Why can't we get more of those guys?
Like a Draymond Green for football. Is what you mean. Like a chip on the shoulder guy. Yeah, I get that. Where you need an attitude guy. You need I'm saying this because I hockey on my other screen. I bet on the Bruins are down 2-0, and I think that the curse was Dave saying he's going to cheer him on with me. So thanks, Dave. But like kind of like the guy that the bruiser, the guy that fights. You're like, all right, this guy's a little crazy, and they just scored. Let's freaking go. You need that guy. And the Chargers, you're right. They don't really have that guy. Like they don't have the chip on the shoulder. Like, no, it's going to be a dog fight when you come in with us. It's going to be a dog fight when you walk in a SoFi Stadium. They don't have that. Did they get that in this draft? I don't know. Can Kendricks bring that from Minnesota? I don't know. But can Morgan Fox do that? He kind of brought out a lot of injury on the field this past year. I don't know. Is there going to be anyone offensively that does that? I don't know. We'll see. I think it's also, correct me if I'm wrong, today's day and age in football, it's the hardest to have that type, because it's so many rules and, no late hits and all that crap.
Okay, well, give an example. The team they shared the stadium with the Rams. Aaron Donald's going to hold you accountable.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? He is.
It's a great example.
I mean, and so when you sit there and you go through a game and everyone's looking at, the game film on Monday, and you're going, all right, who did their job, who didn't do their job, what happened? And we see it. I mean, the NFL players will say it. Every pro athlete will say it in every sport. There are days where you aren't given 100%. As fans, we see where that guy can play better than what he's playing, and if he can't, he doesn't belong on the team. We've seen it from the Chargers that literally cost them wins against in week 2 against Kansas City last year. But how many guys in that locker room are holding you accountable? Look, Derwin James is not a big dude, man. I don't know if he's holding me accountable. It takes a big physical force to hold you accountable, I think. That's what Junior Seau was. Rodney Harrison was scary as hell. You're right, Josh. There's not one guy on that team that you're going to walk in the locker room. Oh, you're going to hold me accountable? Please. Joey Bosa, who sits out 90% of the season, you're going to hold me accountable? I see what you do. I've seen you collect those checks, Joey. Show up in December when you realize we're making it to the postseason, only to let us down when you get there.
The only time the Chargers have had guys that will like hold you accountable and they're big talkers was back in 2007 when they had Sean Merriman and they had LT to some degree. I'm just completely drew a blank on a guy that I was thinking of from that team that would get in your face. Antonio Cromartie would talk a lot. Chargers don't have any of those guys like
Antonio
Jalen
Cromartie
Ramsey
got
and
run
Donald.
over. Yeah, Cromartie got run over in there. Those guys killed at Cromartie. Cromartie was the first guy to get dressed and get the hell out of there because guys called him out all the time. He wasn't calling.
But I liked him on
out.
the field. No, I'm talking about on the field, man. Antonio Cromartie would talk trash to Peyton Manning, and he'd do that stuff like that. Chargers don't have anybody on the team that's like that. Like we never have a Jalen Ramsey type player. I'm not even talking from a skill level. I'm talking just from an attitude perspective. The Chargers have shown throughout their history that they shy away from guys that are like that. You need players like Justin Herbert that are performers, and they're not necessarily annoying or talking, but you do need your fair share of guys that will get in people's face. Travis Kelce, we don't like him. Travis Kelce will get in your face. He'll catch a pass on you, and he'll tell you he just caught a pass on you. I like that stuff. Keenan Allen does it sometimes. He's the only guy on the offense that does that. We have one guy on offense, Keenan Allen, that will do it. We have one guy on defense, and Derwin James that will do it. And Morgan Fox, I think he overperformed last year. But for God's sakes, we're talking about Morgan Fox as a guy that's going to rattle the team up. Like, that's just sad to me.
Yeah, Michael Bandy's not walking through that door, Mario.
Whoa, he might not be walking through that door. I don't know. Make sure retires number, though.
It's funny. I'm with Josh on everything you just said right there. I hate to say it, and I got news for you. Bad guys, dude, sell jerseys too. It's okay to have that bad guy. Fans love that stuff. I always find it amazing when I go to NFL games, and anyone who's been to a Charger game or any NFL game will tell you the same thing. It's always amazing how those guys sitting right in the end zone, right behind the goalpost, seem more into it than the guys that are actually on the field. You know what I mean? And yet they're going back to their jobs the next day. Yet those guys are so fired up. They're 100% in. You get a couple guys like that can match that intensity. Man, fans dig it. They love it. Chargers haven't had that in a long time.
Here's one player that just I love Philip Rivers because Philip Rivers would talk trash, even though he didn't cuss. As a fan,
Yeah.
don't you want a guy that seems like he cares so much? Like Dave said, you watch these Charger games, a lot of times when they go down and they don't come back, you're like, do they even care? If you're a fan and you're asking yourself, does this guy even really care? Isn't that kind of sad? When you watch the Kansas City Chiefs and the Cincinnati Bengals and Josh Allen that's putting his head into everything, you never have to ask yourself, does this guy care? It always seems like those guys and those teams are always in it. The Chargers, to me, are off and on way too much.
I agree.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You were going off.
Yeah. That
It's
doesn't
good
help.
points.
It's hard to be tough when you're wearing yellow pants, but I don't know.
The light blue is believable.
Philip Rivers always talked trash. It's fun to watch him in practice. If you ever had a chance to see him, and everyone's seen him mic'd up. He never cussed. You know what I mean? It always cracked me up, man. He never cussed. And Weddle used to say all the time, he'd rather have 2 picks against Rivers in practice than 1 pick in a real game, because he goes, Rivers talks so much trash all the time, he couldn't take it in the locker room afterwards. But there aren't a lot of those guys. I mean, the Raiders were known for those guys, right? With Lalo Zato and John Matuzak and the maniacs that they had over there, Hendricks, all those guys that the Raiders used to have that were just scary. You know, with the guy was a Sammy White in the Super Bowl. This is before you guys were alive. Gets knocked out on the field, and they're standing over him and they're saying that guy's crying for his mama right now. I mean, everybody's making fun of him while he's knocked out cold. When they paralyzed Darryl Stingley in a preseason game. That's just what they were. I'm not saying, hey, you got to go to that extreme, but they don't have those guys that people are afraid of over the years. They just don't.
Sorry, one last thing. The Chargers would have never drafted Max Crosby, right? A loud talker.
No.
You know what I mean? The Chargers just don't draft those types of players. I don't know why they think it's such a bad thing. Taylor Lewan, a guy they probably might have drafted because he was a first-round talent, but guys that just talk. Chargers never, ever, ever, ever draft those guys. It doesn't make any sense to me at all.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm with you. So overall, man, obviously I gave a terrible draft grade. Josh's grade wasn't great compared to everyone else. Everyone else who gave the Chargers a grade of a B or an A, Mar, I'm not taking a shot at you. I just keep on thinking those guys have relationships with the NFL teams. That's why those guys went easy on the Chargers. I don't understand how you can look at the players they chose in this draft and said, hey, right off the bat, my first inclination is the Chargers did really, really well, that they get an A-. Come on. A-.
Like where? Where's the A-? Like where? Which part of that?
I'm big positive guy. Trying to be positive because you truly don't know. But the A- I will say is a little much. It's like anytime they give any teams A+ too, because it's like, all right, you don't know. Like you really don't know. A+ can be an F next week if you didn't cite your sources. Like that's just it can go bad on you. But I
don't think the Chargers had the worst. Yeah, I don't think the Chargers had the worst draft of every team.
No.
I wouldn't say that.
No.
Who do you think? Had
Okay,
the
right
best
now,
draft?
Rams bought it out. Yeah,
Eagles. You thought the Rams had a bad draft?
Yeah,
I don't think the Rams. Well, the Rams obviously don't have a first-round pick. I don't think the Rams had a bad draft. I kind of for the Rams had and what they were able to pick with. I kind of like what the Rams did, but Eagles to me ran away with this draft. I know everyone loves Seattle and people love Pittsburgh. The Eagles, I think, did an outstanding job. Amazing to me what the Eagles did.
Yeah, Eagles for me is by far. Steelers, I mean, the fact that I have friends that are Pittsburgh fans, and the fact that they got Darnell Washington just really sucks. That sucks. They don't deserve him. That sucks. But it's probably Pittsburgh. I think Colts actually had a really good one with AR, and then you get Josh Downs, deep threat that actually could be a Charger. He could have been a great Charger. UNC guy, Josh Downs, deep ball downfield. Did a lot of great stuff with Drake May.
Okay, so right now, take the fact that we're doing a Charger. Jesus, take the fact now that we're doing a Charger podcast out of it. Are the Chargers a playoff team on paper? Like, let me throw a couple.
Yes.
I'm gonna throw some teams at you. I'm not saying they are or they aren't. I'm not sure. I'm not trying to be a jerk. Chiefs playoff team, right?
Yeah.
Bengals playoff team.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Okay. Are the Jets a playoff team?
Yeah.
Okay. Are the
Wild
Bills
card.
a playoff team? Are the Bills a playoff team?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Are the Dolphins a playoff team?
Right there with the Jets.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay, that's 5. That's 5 already. We haven't gotten because there's an automatic in the AFC South. Probably the Jags, right? That's number 6.
Yeah.
Okay. So are the Chargers a playoff team? Are they there? Are they better than the Ravens? Are they better than the Steelers?
I think the Chargers
Yeah.
are in
Better
the
than
same tier.
better than the Steelers. Kenny Pickett's not taking the Steelers to the playoffs.
Kenny Pickett can barely grip the football.
Yeah.
Chargers are in the same tier as the Jets, Dolphins, and I think the Ravens are a little bit below the Chargers too, but they're somewhere in there. Chargers are in there. I don't think they're definitively better than they were last season, which is really disappointing because you always want to see your team improve.
I agree with that. And those are teams that put in that category that in order to be a Super Bowl team, they need something to bounce their way, right? But they have a lot of talent and they could get there, but they would need to face the Bengals in the second round, and the Bengals are without Jamar Chase. Or Burrow gets hurt, you need some injury luck to kind of go your way, and then you're a Super Bowl caliber team. But until then, you're a wild card win team, and then second round, you put up a really good fight against the Bengals or Chiefs, and then you fall short.
How crazy is it that
The best
Bryce Young,
move-
who hasn't played an NFL game, is the best quarterback in his division right now?
That's crazy. I didn't even
But
think
that's
about
I'm
that.
right. I said Bryce Young is the best quarterback in his division right now. He hasn't played a game.
Yeah, he is.
I don't know about that.
You don't think so? Would you take
No,
Bryce
I
Young
wouldn't-
or would you take Carr?
I would take Carr,
Right.
and I don't even think he's going to win Rookie of the Year.
I
Don't talk
don't
about
know.
way too early.
Oh, I'm not saying he wins Rookie of the Year.
I think-
I'm
yeah,
just saying,
I think
that
Rookie.
division's so bad.
Yeah, that division is bad, and I don't think you're wrong, 100% wrong. Like that there's a strong argument for Young. It's just hard to say that, but I think offensive rookie of the year is going to turn into a running back award just because it's such a quick produce. So I think it's going to be Gibbs or Robinson because it's just so quick.
Yeah, could be.
And if you're receiver and you have good wideout, you got that wrapped up. But QB, it's so hard. There's so many different factors for QB.
Yeah.
I'm just saying. I mean, Atlanta, no quarterback. Tampa Bay, no
Yeah.
quarterback. You're going into some good quarterbacks. You got Bryce Young and you have Carr in that division. It's a bad
NFC
division.
sucks.
The NFC does suck, especially
does
now
suck.
that even Rodgers is out. The
Yeah.
NFC sucks. I mean, right now,
terrible.
I mean, I know a year ago at this time I picked the Rams to go back to the Super Bowl in the NFC, but man, holy cow, dude! The Eagles seem like the easiest bet of all time, Mario, to say the Eagles are going back to the Super Bowl.
And I'm fine with if they get in. If they have injury problems, I'd still take them. If you're like AJ Brown gets hurt, I'm like, okay. Hassan Reddick gets hurt, that's fine. Hurts gets hurt, okay.
Who's the wide receiver?
fine.
Who's the wide receiver from Philadelphia that's no longer on the team when they could have had Chase?
Oh, Aguilar.
No. The draft pick. Starts with an R. Last name starts with an R.
Oh, Jalen Rager,
Yeah. What college are you go to? I forgot. Do you remember?
TCU.
TCU. Yeah. I think Dotson,
Yeah,
TCU, wide receiver. I'm just saying
fans are going to tell you LT went to TCU.
Well, that's fine. The last two. Well, guess what?
You
Johnson
walked
doesn't.
into that one.
No, Johnson doesn't play running
Walked
back. My point is the last two wide receivers drafted in the first round by TCU before Quentin Johnson, bust, dude. Dotson from Washington and Rieger from the Eagles, bust, complete bust. This guy's a lot to live up to.
Okay.
Reminds me of Lieutenant Dan talking in Forrest Gump. Every member of my family died in every war.
Okay.
All right.
So
Well, there you go. Guess
wait,
he's not
so-
coming on the show.
yeah, I he is. But do you guys think this year, with how bad and just kind of tough it looks for the Rams right now, you think Chargers are officially number one team in LA in football? I feel like it's just not. It's been one bad thing after another with them, and
No.
Lord knows
I think
if
the
it's better
Rams aren't
this
a
year.
good team. I don't think the Rams are a good football
I don't
team.
think the
I don't
Rams are a
think-
good team. I just think the competition for the Rams isn't a lot. I don't know. Are the Rams the second or third place team in that division? The 49ers are by far the best team. By the way, the 49ers
Second.
are a great draft too.
Seahawks.
You
though.
think third?
You think
just don't
Seattle
trust
passes the
Geno.
Rams? Yeah, I don't either.
I don't trust Gino, but what is Stafford gonna play?
Yeah, Stafford's playing.
But like, how well is he gonna be?
It's weird that they got the 2 national championship quarterbacks playing in the same stadium. Isn't that weird? Or dressing in the same stadium. Neither one's going to play. But Stetson Bennett is on the Rams, and you got Max Dugan over here with the Chargers.
Who's their wideouts? Cooper Kupp,
That's all they need.
Van Jefferson.
Van Jefferson.
Yeah.
Allen's a Pittsburgh Steeler. I don't know. Like I feel like that. I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, their
The
division.
Rams team is not good.
Yeah,
No.
they're terrible. I'm not a big fan.
No.
Yeah, it's slowly falling apart.
All right, there you go. All right, so we back with 2 shows, 3 shows this week. How many are we doing? Mario, you're the producer.
Including this one too. So one more after this one. That'll be Thursday. We'll figure out a time and then we'll sit down to you guys and record. Hopefully get a guest for it. Make sure you guys like, share, and subscribe to Bolt City Podcast and get us on YouTube.
All right, next show we're going to go over the free agent list because obviously a lot of the guys. This is where I think Tom Telesco thrives. Is this free agent list? Look, he's going to get guys that are going to make the roster that will do better than Scott Matlock. I guarantee you. But again, we'll be back with one more show this week. You write that down that I'm eating those ice cream sandwiches, by the way.
Yep, already got the time frame.
Okay, but we'll be back. We'll give you some more Charger news as far as the latest on this roster and what it's going to look like heading into 2023. I feel like I definitely brought down the show today as far as being a downer, but overall, we're excited about Charger football, believe it or not. We just want more. So here we go. Again, for Josh Palet, Mario Heron, I'm Dave Palet. Thanks again for listening and watching the Bolt City Podcast on YouTube. You're listening, of course, on Odyssey. Again, Bolt City Podcast. Thanks again. We'll be back this week.